Hi friends, my name is Bhaskar Natarajan. I'm here on behalf of Hyderabad Professional Coach Association. We are very happy to introduce you to our guest, Corine Navarro. Hi Corine, thank you for joining us on this show.
Hello, I'm very nice to be here with you.
Also, I have another colleague from HPCA, Anil Santhapuri, joining us on this show. Hi Anil.
Hi Bhaskar, hello everyone.
Anil and myself are going to have dialogue with Corine to know more about the area of her expertise. As a coach, we are in constant dialogue. We are communicating with the client all the time, and there are few areas where we need to understand how meaningful the conversation is getting. What is the flow of meaning when we have a conversation with our client? And there is one particular field of study which talks about non-violent communication. We were very intrigued when we got to know about it. So Anil and I were very curious to know how this field of interest started, and we were very fortunate to have Corine with us. She's an expert in this area. She's been practicing this in her life in France. She came all the way from Montpellier, right? I'm getting it right now, which is south of France, near the seashore. She's got consulting business, which is named as Advolution ATP, and there's a reason behind the name. It's a word coined by Corine. She will tell us all about what is advolution and how she coined the name, and then we will quickly get into the session to know more about what non-violent communication is all about. Over to you, Corine.
Okay, so thank you.
Tell us about yourself, what you do, and your company.
Okay, so just a few words. Donc, my name is Corine Navarro in French. I'm a trainer and consultant in HR and project management. And sometimes, in certain situations, I happen to use the nonviolent communication technique, which is also a way of life, and I will tell things about it. Well, just a few words about my company, which is Advolution ATP. So ATP comes for the molecule of adenosine triphosphate, which is kind of the molecule of energy, because the human energy is very important in communication and in management, and especially in nonviolent communication. And advolution is a word that I coined because ad means towards in a upwards and optimistic direction. And evolution means the growth that comes from within to go outwards to the world. So this is what I myself, with my skills, my humanness, I can give to the world. Well, and this also deals with nonviolent communication.
And how can we find you on the internet? If one wants to know more about you and the business that you do,
yes.
How do we find you?
You're right. So www.advolution, which is ADVOLUTION trade ATP.fr for France.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
And we can also find her on LinkedIn.
That's how Anil and I got in touch with her, and she expressed that she's traveling to India and she would like to know more about human resources and project management. And that's how we got introduced to each other. And this is the third day, Corine, that we are talking to each other.
Absolutely.
And amazing discussion that we have been having on various topics, and this one really connected all three of us, and we thought we will bring it to HPCA audience to know more about what is the relevance of non-violent communication in the field of coaching. So take us through what is the origin of NVC and how it started, what we should know. Any layperson who doesn't know anything about NVC, what we should know about NVC.
Okay. NVC was invented and organized by Marshall Rosenberg, which is an American human science scientist and consultant. He was a pupil of Carl Rogers, and NVC so traces back to the movement of Palo Alto in California. And one of his books tells that words are windows rather than walls. Well, it speaks about openings rather than closures. So, and the concepts mainly used in nonviolent communication, they deal with education, social, prisons, family matters, etc. And what I found interesting is to apply that to business life, and especially management and communication, which are my fields of expertise, I hope. Okay. So there are some concepts at stake in nonviolent communication, and well, just let me talk on behalf of the Greek philosopher Socrates, who said, "Know yourself," and which means meet yourself before meeting the others. And in nonviolent communication, it is that you have to go and to dance and to communicate and to negotiate with the other persons, with the self-consciousness that you know yourself, you know what your feelings, you know what your needs are, and then you may, well, negotiate, communicate, go on building something different from maybe your own initial idea with the other ones. Well, nonviolent communication talks us as well about responsibilities. Well, I take the responsibility of my life. I take the responsibility of what I feel, what I want, what I could do, what I could not do, and I have to express it to the other. Nobody else than me may know, can know what I want. Well, it's just a question of be responsible and be conscious of one's life. Nonviolent communication tells us also about ecology in relationship. Ecology with relationship towards myself, and ecology in relationship towards the other ones. And maybe the last words that might be important to know and to have in mind about nonviolent communication would be lucidity and making things explicit rather than letting them in the implicit and the hidden and the downstairs.
Oh, that's really wonderful. In fact, what I hear you speak about nonviolent communication, it has very deep roots in the ancient history. It all started with Socrates, Plato, and other Greek philosophers, where the journey starts from within, right? And even it is more to do with how an individual takes responsibility in knowing thyself, knowing myself, and my responsibility towards others.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
You've quite understood. I was telling that nonviolent communication is as much a way of life as a methodology. So I will tell now about the 4 components of nonviolent communications. Well, the first one is observation. I will detail them afterwards. The first one is observation. The second one is feelings. The third one is needs. And the fourth one is the request. The third, observation, feelings, and needs, they all belongs to me. They all belong to me. And the fourth one, the request, and start asking and dialoguing with the other persons. So observations, well, it means getting to the facts straightly, directly, and realistically. I put no filters. I try to be as neutral as possible, and I have to be precise and accurate. Precise and accurate is very important in nonviolent communication. Well, when I see the situation as it is, neutrally, realistically, etc., what are my feelings? So this is the second component. How do I feel when I observe this situation? And the feelings, they are indicators of what's happening inside of me. I am okay, or am I not okay? And in nonviolent communication, you're going to find lists, which can be tools, a list of feelings which are going to be very detailed, precise, accurate, of course, and they are specific. They are personal. When we are observing the same situation, the three of us, we're not going to have the same feelings. So it's very important that I connect myself with my own feelings. I cannot speak on behalf of your feelings. I have to speak on behalf of my feelings. And for example, to be tired or to be exhausted, it's not the same thing. I have to be precise. To be happy or to be enthusiastic or to be elated, it's not the same thing. I have to be accurate about that. Then the feelings indicate what's happening in me, and then that indicates that I have some needs fulfilled and some needs unfulfilled. This is the third component, the needs. And of course, the needs in me that are fulfilled, I have to maintain them. And the needs that are not satisfied, I have to fulfill them. And as the feelings, the needs have to be specific, personal, accurate, precise, etc., etc. And of course, in the nonviolent communication methodology, you will have a tool which is as well a list of needs that you can use, and you can find this on the net. And for example, we know about needs such as recognition, honesty, security, justice, time, rest, sleep, etc., etc. You have to go to that. Now I'm conscious of what I feel, what I need, what I don't need, what is okay, and I may ask a request to myself first. I can make requests to myself or to the other one. And of course, this request has to be precise, factual, and it can be negotiable. It has to be explicit. And then we start dialoguing, communicating, and the other comes into the communication, and he comes as well with his feelings, with his needs, etc. And if he doesn't know, I may help him to express and to clarify his feelings, his needs, etc., so that we can go together on a non-violent communication process.
Wow. Let me see whether I understand and if I'm able to apply it real time. You spoke about 4 levels. Can I say it as levels?
Absolutely.
Observation, feeling, need, and request. So last 2.5 days we have been observing you. Let me state my observation. Right from Anil, join me wherever you feel you can add. Observation about Corine is right from day one. She's been very caring. She takes absolute precaution or whatever preparation before talking anything. We have been having a lot of conversations. Her planning has been very meticulous. And number third observation about her is she is more Indian in terms of dressing, the way she styles herself, right? And number fourth observation is she speaks very good English. Of all the people I have interacted from this particular geography, her English is very good, and she's making all the effort to make her point heard and understood by the other person. So these are the 4 observations I have. The feeling I get is you are very humble, down to earth, and you would like to blend in with the culture to extend your part of a journey, so that the other person can make the rest of the journey possible, right? And the need is to blend in, to bridge the cultures between France and India, and it's the purpose that you have come here with, to understand what's happening here and take home the lessons back to your place. And the request I see here is accept me as one of your community member and help me understand how you operate. This is what I understand. And is it a right way of putting in the order?
Well, I think and I feel it looks very, very fine, very true and sincere. And well, I thank you because you met my request quite
Oh,
well.
great. Yes, Anil.
Yes. And I also wanted to add one more observation in this format.
Mhm.
So, from last 2 days when I've been interacting with Corine, one thing I've seen from her side is her ability to observe things without putting in any layer of judgment, because coming from a different culture it's easy to misunderstand things or understand things in a different way. So I've seen her at every point of time validating, checking, is this right thing to do. For example, yesterday she asked, can we go out for lunch? But then she said, is it okay for you to go out for lunch? So she was saying, is it okay for this culture, for you in this culture to go out for lunch? So it was not just asking, but she was validating. So clear layer of observation and feeling. And another example I wanted to share, yesterday afternoon she was waiting for someone to come and pick her up, and I was talking to her till they come, and she was slightly kind of not restful, and after a minute she said, you know what, Anil, I'm feeling slightly embarrassed because I'm holding you up. So it was that honesty from her side to open up and express her feeling, saying I'm feeling embarrassed because you're waiting for me where you might have some work to do. So that's when she demonstrated the feeling part, and her need was to convey it and see if we're doing the right thing. So I've seen her demonstrate these 4 steps. So when we saw you, when we observed you, we didn't know this, but now we are able to relate it
Yeah,
pretty
the
well.
role modeling really helps.
Yes.
Wow. Wow, that's tremendous. Your analysis and well, your accuracy in observing things. Wow.
We are learning a lot from you. In fact, that's where I would see where the discussion is going. Now that we have some background about nonviolent communication, would you help us understand how it is applied in daily life? Like we just shared some examples, whatever we have observed. Is there anything that you can throw light and help us understand?
Yes, okay. Well, as I said, for some example, nonviolent communication in daily or social life might be used for dealing with drug addictions, education of children, family and couples relationships, much more as well. Well, just to be pragmatical, for example, in the education of children, it is important to avoid judgments, labels, and to say always or never. This doesn't work in nonviolent communication. Well, if you say to your daughter, well, you never make your bed, and yesterday she made it, well, this is absolutely unfair. Absolutely. And you have to avoid labels, judgments, and things that always or never.
I have a question, Corine. It's really kind of striking for me. When you say it's applied in education and especially children, we are not supposed to feel bad when they do something wrong, or how is it? When you say labeling, judgments, because I have a 4.5-year-old kid, and every day, at least once I get angry. I mean, that's a really bare minimum, I would say. But she's not a naughty child. But somehow I don't want her to do few things, and she repeats them. And what do I do?
You have absolutely the right, and maybe I think the duty to tell that it's your educational role. But just the difference is. Today, when I saw that, you said that, I saw that, well, you didn't make your bed. We had said you would finish your homework by 7:30, and now it's 8 o'clock and it's not finished. You have to be precise. Well, I'm angry. It's not you never do your homework or you never obey. It's
okay.
just that.
I get it. When you say labeling, don't do generalization.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
You're
you
always
said,
like that. You don't do this.
You always do this to me.
yes, it's not, well, you talked about being naughty. It's not you're a naughty girl. As when you see that, when you do that, well, I feel you being naughty. Well, but it's not every time. It's not a generalization, and it's not absolute. I feel.
Okay.
It's not you are naughty. It's I feel.
It's my
Okay.
feeling.
It's my feeling,
perception.
my
Mm.
perception. It is not an absolute truth. Yes.
Wow. Okay, we are separating feeling and the fact.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the feelings are rooted in the facts. Yes.
Now I'm getting a bit. Yeah.
Yes. And they are rooted in the facts, the actual facts, and the present facts. You don't open on the previous life to replay history again and again and again.
Yeah, I think it works in a couple relationship as well.
Absolutely.
That's why you see Bhaskar and me laughing, because most of us have experienced this. You know, you always do this to me. Last year, you did that. 5 years back. In fact, sometimes
That day when you're wearing blue color shirt,
you always do this to me. Right?
Well-
we are not going to show this video to our wives.
I think you have understood everything about nonviolent communication.
Oh, it's not about anything about the what happened in the past, or it's not about generalization, labeling, putting our judgment into the observation.
Mm.
The observation should be more about the fact, and keep the feeling away from the fact, right? So that's a
Yeah.
distinction that we want to bring in. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes. And now we're talking about it and we're having some distance with it. We're talking practicing. So maybe just a little trick to do is to train, to practice, and well, it's just like when you learn how to drive a car, when you learn to mount a bicycle. Well, there is a joke about 3 minutes, 3 times a day. I stop and I practice nonviolent communication, and afterwards it becomes rooted in your mind and if your way of
okay.
relating to yourself and to the other ones.
It's a kind of promise or commitment that I make to myself. 3 minutes, 3 times a day.
Yes, it could be.
And it also reminds me of the theory of emotional intelligence, where in that particular moment you get hijacked emotionally. Amygdala hijack happens, and then you don't know what you're doing. So that's when we need to make this a habit to emotionally distance ourselves from the feeling and the fact.
Absolutely, and you don't need to feel guilty if sometimes you get
You
angry.
do it 3 times a day.
You have to.
3 minutes, 3 times a day.
We're
I
not
like that.
we're not perfect. We're just human beings.
Takes time.
Yeah, next time.
That's good.
So I see an interesting example here about the jackal example of person 1 and person 2. So can we share it with our audience about the example?
Please go.
Okay. So Bhaskar, do you want to tag up with me to read
Sure.
person 1 and
Oh,
person
okay.
2? NVC model.
Okay.
So we'll just read out a small script. I'll be the person 1 and person 2 will be Bhaskar. So Bhaskar, you never listen to me when I'm talking to you. You're ignoring me constantly. You just don't care.
Yeah, right. I listen to you all the time.
You can't listen to me and read the paper at the same time. You are so unreal.
I am unreal. You don't even.
Blah 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 blah. That's how the conversation goes. Now let's see how it would work if we apply nonviolent communication. Bhaskar, when I see you read the newspaper while I'm talking, I feel frustrated because I'm needing to be heard. Would you be willing to close the newspaper for 5 minutes and hear my idea?
Anil, when you ask me to close the paper when I am reading an article that is very important to me, I feel anxious because of my need to understand what's going on in the world. I also feel concerned because of my need for your well-being. Would you be willing to wait 5 minutes while I finish this article so I can give you my full attention?
Okay, that's fine with me.
Okay. So I think we just read it for the first time, and the intonation, the body language and the voice modulation may not be to the extent where NVC should be, but I get the point. The way it clearly indicates observation. It also talks about the feeling, how I feel, frustrated, anxious. These are the words that I can underline. And also it talks about the need. The need of the first person, Anil, is to be heard. And for me, the need is to understand what's going on in the world. And also he had a request which says, will you be willing to close the newspaper for 5 minutes? And then I had a request saying, can you wait for 5 more minutes so that I can finish this and come back, give you full attention. Okay.
This is very good analysis and observation of how it works. And talking about body language and intonation, etc., I feel you don't have to worry about that, because I told about NVC being both a way of life and a methodology. Well, if you practice regularly, well, of course you are going to practice and to train with the methodology, and it will well encode and root in your way of life. So well, very soon the body language and the intonation will be will go with your sincerity, with your humanness. So well, no problem at all. It's gonna be like that.
Okay.
Yes.
The more authentic we are, the natural it would be.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about how we can apply this to the coaching and training field. In fact, most of our viewers would like to know how it can be applied to our field of interest.
Okay, I have selected some examples. Well, I will share them for you. And well, further example refers to how I manage myself, self-management. Well, second one is one-to-one coaching and interrelation. And third one is about group coaching, group way of working together. So talking about self-management, nonviolent communication might help me to clarify what my needs are. And if I clarify what my needs are, well, I will be more at ease to select my priorities, then to organize my schedule in order to respect both my needs and the company's expectations, or my boss expectations, my customers' expectations, etc. And as well, if I clarify my needs, I will be able to communicate more efficiently, go straight to the point, and being respectful to the other as well, which is sometimes a difficult balance to maintain. Go straight to the point and being respectful. Well, in France as well, it's very difficult to balance that. If I go now to one-to-one coaching, well, that's something that is very dear to me in the role of a manager, is that a manager is in charge of having his subordinates improved, enhancing their skills, enhancing their performances, etc. So being a trainer, being a training manager is possible through nonviolent communication. Well, and you may build the autonomy at work of your employees when using nonviolent communication. Well, for example, if someone comes and he has a problem, he has a difficulty, he doesn't know how to handle it, well, you can help him to build himself his own way of handling the difficulty rather than assisting him. Well, if you assist him, he's going to come back every day or every week, and well, every time. If you help him clarify his needs, then he might be able to build himself the way to improve, to progress. Well, what do I need to develop as skills so that next time I'm better, well, I'm more competent. Well, this is one-to-one coaching or relationships.
Not being dependable.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I think that's the word.
Being independent.
Yeah, being independent and, well, okay. And if I go to group coaching, well, let's talk about team building, which is important in company life, for people being in the same time happy and efficient at work. Okay, so take a team of directors. They are all dealing with their own fields of discipline: the HR, finance, the sales, the production, the research, the development, the admin, etc. And if they use nonviolent communication, either they know the methodology, either they are coached from outside. They know each other's instructions of use. You see, it's I know how you work, and we're going to be more efficient towards the finality of the organization, so we're going to win time, efficiency, performance, and all that. Well, all this seems ideal, but if you apply it with methodology and rigor, it works.
And what I also hear you say is it is not only applicable to one-on-one, it is also applicable to one-to-group, one-to-many.
Yes.
In a group coaching session, a group training session. And can we talk about empathy, because that's the one big piece for a coach. How do you put yourself in your client's shoes after removing yours? Right? So how does empathy get reflected in non-violent communication?
Okay. Empathy in maybe non-violent communication has to be associated with neutrality. So I will maybe I will rephrase the words used by the clients. Help them to say, well, is it really that you're willing to say, that you want to express? You may change your thinking, you may change your feeling. It's going to facilitate as well the empathy between the members of the group, because as we're talking about feelings and needs, it's rather personal, so you have to be cautious and you have to be respectful, and empathy might help in that process.
And in fact, I heard you speak about some list that we can refer to, right? You're talking about the feelings list and the needs list. Can you say more about that, and where do we get it?
Okay. You can get the list on the net if you go to the Center for Nonviolent Communications, so which would be cnvc.com on the net, and there is a menu where you can print the list, and they are rather detailed. Do you want? No, we don't have them with us. They're rather detailed. You have 1 or 2 pages, sheets of needs and of feelings. And, well, for example, let's take a feeling negative and a feeling positive. Mm-hmm. Well, just in the negative, to talk about being afraid, we have all those different words: apprehensive, dread, foreboding, frightened, mistrustful, panicked, petrified, scared, suspicious, terrified, worried, etc. Well, if I take, I think it's enough. And a good way and an easy way to use that with groups or with individuals, and to help them to integrate the methodology on nonviolent communication so that they become used to it and they might use it regularly and more regularly. Is, well, you give the list to the person. Well, this is how I practice. No, I give the list to the persons, and I ask them to select the feelings. And well, at the beginning they select plenty, and at the end their objectives is that they finish with 2 or 3 words. Yes, and you do the same for the needs.
What if we are not clear about what feeling that I'm experiencing?
Okay, so if you're not cleared, well, I will just rephrase, and you will correct yourself, and I will go back to the facts Tell the facts, rephrase that, make things getting more accurate, and it comes easily. And if you practice regularly, you become able to identify your main needs. So it's how you come to know your instruction of use, and you may share them with the other one, with your colleagues, so as to be efficient in the team. This is team building.
In fact, when you say instruction of use, I just got reminded of having a manual, user manual for ourselves.
For each one of us.
When we buy equipment from the shop, we get a user manual, and this could be one of the user manual.
Yes.
Many times we confuse our feelings and facts. At the same time, we don't know our needs. As a coach, that's the journey that we have to start from the beginning. Self. We should apply this to ourselves, and then we can see how we can apply it in a one-on-one coaching. And is there anything that we should know about one-on-one in person and one-on-one over the phone?
On the phone?
Yeah. NVC is practiced differently, or?
Yes, it's the same. I think there's no difference. Just on the phone you don't have the non-verbal and the body language. But maybe for some people it is easy to start on the phone without the body language, because we're talking about feelings, and it's not something very easy and very usual in the company life. Well, just to precise, the feelings, I remind, they are just the indicators of my needs. So the important thing in feelings there is just I am able to clarify my feelings. If I don't want, in the first time, if I don't want to express my feelings to the other person, to the other persons, it's not a problem. The important thing is that I am honest with myself, and I do the work, I do the clarification, I go to my feelings, and then I go to my needs. The most important thing to express is the needs. The feeling, it's just a way to go to there.
In this globalized workplace, if you are so open, honest about your feeling and your need, are we not vulnerable? Leaders, I don't know, as a business leader, I think many of them feel we should not be honest, or we should not be open about our feelings and need. If that is the case, I become vulnerable to my own team member who can take advantage of me.
If you feel like that, well, just you don't have to express your feelings. There's no reason to be uncomfortable and to expose yourself if you don't feel at ease with that. The only thing is to be honest with you, and you do the work, you do the exercise, and you express your needs. Right. And maybe you're not going to do the same thing depending the persons, depending the stakes, depending the situations. Well, I think it's important to be ecologic towards oneself. I don't have to put myself into disequilibrium. Yes. Yes. Yes, but of course after that it's a question of values. Well, and then we could talk about ethics in business life. I'll come back if you want.
Yes, thank you. In fact, I see a great connect of NVC to the concept of coaching, both in terms of the client and the coach. To start with, in terms of looking at a coach, first, as we say, coach has to empty themselves before they get into coaching conversations. So they park their judgments, they park their own values when listening to the client. So that's when the process of observation, or could be you having a bad day at work, that might impact how you coach. So observing yourself where you are and knowing your feelings, knowing your needs, and then having that self-awareness, self-empathy as a coach helps someone to be a better coach. And the second stage I see in terms of a client is generally when clients come in, they tend to open up, and as Bhaskar said, they start from a stage of being close, and they start opening up and being more vulnerable, sometimes even to themselves for the first time in their life, and they're talking to a coach. And as we looked at the choice of words, someone might say, I'm sad, which could mean depressed, which could mean gloomy, which could mean hopeless, which could mean unhappy. And that person might not know where they are at the different grades of being sad. So as a coach, that's the journey you do to help your client, the journey of self-awareness. And that's when over the process, if first you role model as a coach and then take them through this journey of self-awareness, that's when they start clearly seeing their feelings and needs and expressing their requests, which could be to themselves, which could be to the people around them, which could be to their organization, their ecosystem, could be to even their own values. So coaching, as we see, forms on a strong foundation of self-awareness, and that's where I see a clear role of non-violent communication playing, especially in the dialogue or interaction between the coach and the client.
Okay.
Would you like to help us understand in terms of how typically in a coaching relationship non-violent communication can be used?
In a coaching situation,
Yes.
just for example, if I take a team of directors, and now I'm not talking theory, I'm talking practice and
Real life
I'm talking
situation.
real life situation. Well, I constitute pairs,
Mhm.
yes, and I ask them. We have a situation, of course, because we are in real life, and I constitute pairs, and I ask them in pairs to describe the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, we go back to the forum, and we take the 2 or 3 descriptions. And oh, what a surprise! Those descriptions are different. So we put things together. And inside we have a melting pot of facts. We have some feelings, we have some needs, we have some requests, we have some interpretations, judgments, labels, etc. So, well, we put things in, we tidy. So these are the facts, these are the feelings, these are the needs. Okay, so now we have the neutral facts observed. Okay. And then we go back in pairs. Maybe we could change the pairs and build the team. And we go back to pairs and we define, well, which are feelings and which needs are ours. And then afterwards, well, we go back to the forum and, okay, we put that together. We share. It's in that process that the people might become aware of their own needs and the manual. This is how it works, this is how he works, etc. And well, everything is on the table, and now the team is absolutely ready to prepare the action plan. Well, what are we going to do? What objectives do we want to achieve? Because we know what is unsatisfactory in the situation. So now we know what we're going to change, how we're going to change it, when, who is going to do what, with what means, in what objectives, etc., which point of checkings and controls we put, how we're going to communicate about that, etc. Well, and it works.
It certainly works. We can see it. So we have seen a model today talking about non-violent communication, starting with observation. So it could be self-empathy, where you start observing facts without any prejudgment or without any putting on your lens of the world. That's the first. Then you start grading your own feelings of how you are feeling in the given situation, with yourself or with any other outsiders. Then the third is, what are the needs which unmet, which are making you create these feelings, which are creating these feelings, realizing those needs. Then putting out a request, which could happen in a conversation with yourself, with your team, with others, with your coach, with your client, where you put across the request in such a clear format. Then I'm sure it becomes a real smooth communication, and I guess that's why it's called non-violent communication, where it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't hurt the other person, and it's like both of you take a middle ground. You're taking your stance, I'm taking my stance, but Here we are taking one step closer and shaking hands, and probably that's why it's called nonviolent communication. Over to you, Bhaskar.
Yeah, I mean, we get a very good picture about how the model works and how we can use in coaching relationship. And also, thanks to Corine in terms of how clearly she articulated on the journey starts from within, and then you helped us understand how one-on-one conversation can happen, like a coach and a client. Also, you took us through one-to-group. And in all the while, I've been sitting here and thinking, what a wonderful user manual that I have got. And I have some specific list of words, inventory of words that I can refer to understand and have a distinction between two different feelings. However finer the distinction could be, the better it is for us to understand why that feeling, and then we quickly get into the need. What could be my need? If I'm feeling happy, what is the need that is being met? If I'm feeling unhappy, what is the need that is not met, unmet? So that's the kind of discussion we are having now. Let's get on to talk about what benefits do you see, and what do you think we can gain by practicing nonviolent communication.
Okay, so maybe just a few words about that. Well, we're talking about harmony and efficiency. Well, a balance with that.
Living with peace with yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So this is a question of ecology. We're talking as well as another balance, work-life balance. We're talking of being centered upon oneself, yes, to go in relationships with the others. And maybe something else that it helps building and practicing courage and bravery, because going to meet one's feelings, expressing one's need, this is not really easy, because you have to be sincere, you have to be true, you have to be precise, you talk about real stuff, vivid you. So this is the developing courage, I think. Yes, it's a hard journey, and I think it develops courage. So maybe this is good for the world and the ecosystem as well, as you are telling.
And I also see two more benefits adding on to what you listed out. One is we start gaining respect in the eyes of others, and the relationship will improve. These are two clear benefits I see. By being vulnerable as a leader, I gain respect in front of my own team. At the same time, our relationship would improve.
And that's a very good point, Bhaskar, in terms of leadership, because when you as a leader depict vulnerability, you are telling the world that it's okay to be vulnerable, and you are role modeling it, and there's your team looking at you, and probably if they see consistency in your way of expressing your needs, feelings, they might start practicing it themselves. They realize, here I see there's a pattern in which he's talking, and there seems to be he or she, there's a consistency, and it's helping that person. I see a person demonstrating courage and having that peace. So let me also have conversation in that style, where I get in touch with my own needs, my own feelings, and my own observations. So I see a great relation of how it scales up to a greater world of peace, because whenever we talk about conflict happens because people take positions, people don't talk about their needs, and here we're talking about a methodology where you openly talk about your needs, so there's a possibility of coming to a common peace.
And there's a request. Yeah, the request is more powerful
than demand.
Can be managed.
Yes.
If we know how to place the request after talking about the observation, feeling, and your need. Great. Thank you, Corine. Thank you so much. And I'm sure through this deliberation and dialogue, we gained a lot. I don't know whether we would have got this kind of clarity if we had just Googled it.
Yes.
Surely not. And just to finish, I think it's wonderful talking about nonviolent communication in Gandhi's country. Thank
Gandhi's
you so
Wow.
much.
country.
Thank you
Excellent.
so
Thank
much.
you so much.
And just a special mention of Corine here, because just before the session, again demonstrating non-violent communication, she expressed her feeling by saying, you know what, this is the first time, although I'm an expert in non-violent communication, this is the first time I'm talking about it in English. And you did a real wonderful job.
Yes.
Thank you.
And her role model is Mahatma Gandhi, and her motivation to come to India is Gandhi.
To learn about
visit
Gandhi's
to
own
his
country.
land. Yes. Thank you, Corine. Thank you so much for your time. We really value and appreciate, and we look forward to meet you again.
So
Probably
do I.
this time we would come to France.
Oh yes, please do.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers, and signing off.